Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Village of Gurnee Planning and Zoning Board meeting for this Wednesday, September 6th, 2017. Could we have roll call, please? Is this thing on?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Mine is.
Okay. Could we have roll call, please?
Bow.
Here.
Garrity.
Here.
McFarland.
Here.
Nordentoff. Paff.
Here.
Pasak. Sula.
Present. We do have a quorum. If everyone would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The first item on the agenda is an opportunity for public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone that cares to ask a question, make a comment, voice a concern about something that is not on this evening's agenda. I'll close the floor to the public. Next item on the agenda is the approval for the minutes for our meeting that was held on August 16th. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Garrity.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Paff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a special use permit minor modification for Warren Township. Clara, do you have this? Okay.
Yeah. In 2016, 79 South Delaney Road was rezoned to O1 Restricted Office District and was granted a special use permit to allow the expansion of a government office use for purposes of a parking lot expansion. The special use permit contained the condition that an 8-foot tall, opaque solid wood fence be installed along the northern zoning line for the approximately 32-foot portion of the O1 parcel that overlaps the residential property to the north. It also contained the condition that the project be constructed in substantial conformance with the revised landscape plan submitted by the township as part of its amended petition. The approved landscape plan included 6-foot tall arborvitae plants in back of the 8-foot tall section of fencing. Because the resident to the north of the 8-foot tall fence section installed their own 6-foot tall fence, the township requested an administrative modification to the special use permit to allow the relocation of the 6-foot tall arborvitae that were required to be planted behind the 8-foot tall fence. Mr. Ziegler, as zoning administrator, approved this request. The township is now requesting approval for a minor modification to the special use permit to allow the removal of the 8-foot tall fence section. Should this request be approved, the township has indicated that they will plant the 6-foot tall arborvitae back into the area indicated on the approved landscape plan. As this is a minor modification, the Planning and Zoning Board has decision-making authority on this matter. The petitioner is in attendance to present their plans and to answer any questions the board may have.
Okay. Thank you, Clara. Is there anything that you care to add?
It's pretty.
You need to. You need to use. You need to use.
It looks patently ridiculous to.
I'm sorry, Sue. You need to use the microphone. I understand. Yeah.
We've got an alleyway there, and it looks ridiculous. So we would just like to take down 31 feet of the 8-foot fence and then replace it with the arborvitae to make it look more aesthetically pleasing. It's pure and simple. The neighbor decided to go forward and put up her own fence, even though she knew this was going to happen, because she apparently wanted to go further on her property. So right now I've just got a landscaped alley that looks ridiculous.
So we're basically taking down a man-made thing, replacing it with nature, and making it look better. Anybody have any questions, comments? If not, a motion would be in order. And our motion would be to approve. This is not a recommendation of the village board. We are the final.
I move to approve the change as outlined in the material.
Okay, do we have a motion? We have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Paff. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Bow,
Yes.
McFarland,
Yes.
Paff,
Yes.
Garrity,
Yes.
Sula.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a final subdivision plat for Ashbury Woods. Claire, is this yours too? Okay.
Ron Grizik is requesting final subdivision plat approval for 18 single-family lots located at 1001 North Hunt Club Road. The 8.6-acre property is zoned R2 PUD Single Family as a planned unit development. The property recently received final PUD approval from the Village Board for the 18-lot development. Staff has deemed the final subdivision plat to be in substantial conformance with the preliminary subdivision plat and final PUD plans and has recommended its approval. The Planning and Zoning Board has advisory authority in this matter, and a recommendation should be forwarded to the Village Board. The petitioner is in attendance to present their plans and answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you. So as I understand it, unless someone believes there's a substantial nonconformity, a motion to approve the final plat would be in order,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
To make a recommendation to approve the final plat.
Correct.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Garrity, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Paff. Roll call, please.
Wait, I'm a little slow. Bow,
Yes.
Garrity,
Aye.
McFarland,
Aye.
Paff,
Aye.
Sula.
Aye, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is a request of a right-of-way vacation for Sherman Avenue east of Belle Plaine.
Karen Rouse-Wadowski is requesting the vacation of approximately 160 feet of the Sherman Avenue right-of-way between 1432 and 1418 Belle Plaine Road. The subject property is zoned R2 and R3, single-family residential. Enclosed in the Planning and Zoning Board packet is a memo from engineering recommending that the request be denied. The Planning and Zoning Board has advisory authority in this matter, and a recommendation should be forwarded to the Village Board. The petitioner is in attendance to present their plans and answer any questions the board may have.
All right, and as I understand it, every department head that needs to weigh in on this has weighed in on the negative, correct? If I'm reading the community development, village engineer, public works, I think I saw the fire department too.
And we have the petitioner
Okay.
here as well.
I mean, is there anything, sure, you need to state your name and address for the record. You need to use the microphone.
Good evening. I've been in the house for 30 years. I have an acre there, and there currently is houses behind me that are adjacent to the property, and it's a dead-end street right now. The property that I'm looking to purchase to have vacated, there's no reason for it not to be, just because if I ever did subdivide my property, the driveways would still be allowed to go to the existing street. Now, across the street is a park, and that has already been vacated part of it went to the Gurnee Park District, and the other half went to that homeowner. So what I wanted to do was to have that vacated so I can purchase that property to make it look a lot better than it does right now, because right now it just collects trash. We're the ones that take care of it and cut it and make it look nice, because a lot of easements in the area isn't done. Nobody takes care of it. And that's what I was asking.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from members of the board?
I have a question.
Sure.
What specifically were you looking to do with the property if you were to be sold the property? I still don't understand that.
Okay, well, the property...
I'm sorry, you have to use this thing again. Does that to everybody.
Okay. The property is a non-buildable property. Okay. The only reason why I wanted to purchase it was for A, stop the road from going through, because we already have so much traffic in our neighborhood that they think it's a dragway now that the roads have been redone. And as a resident, it's very dangerous for dogs, cats, children. And so because we have so many roads that have already gone through, and it's just making cut-through traffic from 41, Northwestern, Green Bay, and the traffic is, nobody cares that it's a neighborhood. And so it doesn't seem that there's a reason to put it through because there's nothing that needs access to it. There is a fire hydrant in the front of my property, which faces Belle Plaine. There's also another one right before the dead-end street. So there's access for the fire department on both sides. Does that answer that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Dick, you had a question or a comment?
Well, the thing that I read that the residents may not be aware of is apparently if this is vacated, the fire department is going to have to put in a cul-de-sac big enough to turn a fire truck around in. And that will be a big chunk of...
And that's a question for us. That's not a question to you.
Oh, I was going to say, because they were going to do that originally, and I am aware of that. It would take a portion of my property to do that.
Yeah.
And who would pay for that? That's rhetorical, I guess.
Village would.
Right.
Typically, developers have to pay for it.
I had a hard time conceptualizing this, so I did drive over and take a look at the property. I mean, to me, it just looked like the street needed to be finished. It's like a grid system that never was finished. I mean, I don't see, if there's a long-term, you have to take a look at this long-term. I mean, what if there's substantial growth in the neighborhood and you need to be able to have the option, it removes that option in the future. That's my only concern.
From my perspective, I mean, the village engineer has done an excellent job in terms of documenting the criteria as to what his concerns were. And he seems to have unanimous consent, or assent, if you will, from the remaining of the department heads. So, any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
if that street doesn't have a turnaround right now, are they allowed just to cut on through there where the road would be? I mean, is that for a fire truck? I mean, is that? I'm not.
I don't think that's a
Dave,
question. I don't
or
think that's a question. for
whoever.
you,
So,
ma'am. Okay.
I mean, if
Okay.
it doesn't have a cul-de-sac now and it works, why would they have to have a cul-de-sac if that land is vacated?
Because it's private, yeah.
Yeah, most likely,
A
Let-
fire
let's-
truck would.
Let's let Dave answer the
Yeah.
question, please. Okay.
it wouldn't necessarily, well, for it to meet code, it would have to have some type of a means for the trucks to turn around. Typically, we do a 60-foot de minimis cul-de-sac. It's still not big enough for our fire trucks to turn around, but they can do 3-point, 5-point turns to get through there. Most likely, we would not install a cul-de-sac at this point. Typically, those are driven by private development. When the adjacent lots subdivide into smaller lots, we'll typically ask the developer to do that. Now, this is a street that was, annexed into the village in the early 60s. As homes built, the street was extended. It just hasn't been extended that last 160 feet. So it's...
Right now, if a fire truck was to go down that street, would they just drive straight on out through?
And they'd back out.
They'd back out.
They have to back out.
It's wooded and you can't just drive up through this.
What's that?
I said there's brush.
Woods.
Yeah,
Woods
I saw
on
it.
this
I mean, I didn't know if they could get through there. I walked through it.
No.
I didn't know if a fire truck could get through there,
Take
but
my car through.
my
ATV.
question is if it works now, why wouldn't it work then? I'm not really in favor of it, but it seems kind of crazy.
Well, the issue is if the petitioner ever sells her property and the next owner wants to subdivide the lots that are behind there,
Right.
then it becomes an issue in terms of logical planning and development.
Yeah, that's
Okay, it would either need to be run through or be a cul-de-sac. But a cul-de-sac would work. Or not. I mean, we have cul-de-sacs all over
I
them.
mean, I just heard that it takes a 3 to 5 point turn.
In a 60-foot cul-de-sac, a smaller than, our typical cul-de-sac per our subdivision ordinance is a 90-foot diameter cul-de-sac and a 120-foot diameter right-of-way. So that would not fit within this existing 60-foot right-of-way. We have on occasion put in temporary cul-de-sacs or de minimis cul-de-sacs that are substandard, but do part of the good of what we need to do, and basically we pave the roadway, the right-of-way from right-of-way line to right-of-way line in order to get as much pavement in there to allow for as much maneuverability as possible. It's not ideal, but it...
Because right now, that street is about, what, 22 feet wide? 24? I mean,
It's
so
narrow.
what you're doing is basically paving out that 60-foot right-of-way to make some way for vehicles to make an easier turnaround. It's, like David said, it's not a full cul-de-sac, but
Are our cul-de-sacs like in Elysian Fields in that area, are they 90?
They are 90-foot diameter in a 120-foot right-of-way.
Oh, wow, they didn't even look that big. Okay.
Basically, you have-
60 is pretty small.
Yeah, I get it. I didn't realize those were 90s, and
Okay.
so, okay.
All right, any other questions, comments? Not a motion would be in order?
We have to make it positive.
Well,
Oh,
I mean, technically, this is a public, it's a public meeting, it's not a public hearing. I have deviated from that in the past. If it's a real quick question, you need to state your name and address for the record, and,
is the other mic working?
no, I don't know. Okay, but I just would like to remind everybody, this is it's a public meeting, it's not a public
Okay,
hearing.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
But I do have a question, okay?
Okay.
Because I do have children.
okay.
My name is Mary Marquez Barrera, and I live at 1575 Belle Plaine. We have, like she said, we have tons of cut-through traffic from all those factories over there. Today, I was sitting at the corner of Atlantic and Belle Plaine waiting for the bus to come. Car just sails right through the stop sign. Now, I have a kindergartner.
Okay, excuse me, you said you had a question.
Yeah, the question is, what purpose is that going to serve? It only goes, the street only goes from Magnolia to Belle Plaine. That's the only part of that street.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I also wanted to just add this was just a petition I sent around to the neighbors, just that we're approving it. I know I'm not supposed to talk. They want to go over Belle Plaine, because we're out there, the street's up here, Belle Plaine's down here. It's going to be an incline right to the park. It was another one of my concerns.
Thank you. All right, back on track here.
I'll make a motion to deny the request to vacate Sherman Avenue right-of-way west of Belle Plaine as requested by the petitioner.
And that's in the form of a recommendation to the village board.
Correct.
Okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I thought in previous meetings, we were said to make a positive recommendation. And
Yeah,
then deny.
could you do it as a positive?
Just going off the
Okay.
staff memo.
Okay, okay.
So
All right.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the village board to vacate Sherman Avenue right-of-way west of Belle Plaine as requested by the petitioner. So now it's in the positive.
Now it's in the positive, okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Roll call, please. So, just to be clear, an aye is recommending the vacation, a nay is not recommending the vacation. Okay. All right, roll call, please.
Bow,
No.
McFarland,
Nay.
Paff,
No.
Garrity,
No.
Sula.
No. Motion carries. The village board will have ultimate decision-making authority on this, and Clara can keep you informed in terms
Just to
of when
clarify, the
village board would hear.
motion didn't
No.
carry.
Huh?
The motion didn't carry.
Did not carry.
Did not carry.
The motion failed, I'm sorry, right. So the request was unfair. Yeah, okay, yeah. The motion did not carry, which means that we sent an unfavorable recommendation to the village board. Sorry about that.
It would just die in a second. If we could just do them in English, it would be.
I know. We should have just used Brian's original motion.
The first one?
Yeah. But
Yeah, sorry.
sometimes, that's okay, sometimes we don't know how we're going to vote. All right. So in any event, we've sent a negative recommendation to the village board by default of our motion. The village board will make the final decision, and Clara will let you know when that will happen. All right, next meeting on the calendar, there's a misprint on tonight's agenda. The next meeting on the calendar is actually September 27th, not the 20th. Do we know if we're going to have a meeting?
As of right now, we don't have anything, but it's very possible we could have a meeting.
Okay, all right. This is one of those months that we made an adjustment to the first and third because of holidays. Okay, unless anybody else has anything else, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Mr. Bow, second by Mr. McFarland. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, everyone.